Welcome back to Full Circle, Florida. There's a great scene at the end of that Tom Hanks movie, Charlie Wilson's War. Philip Seymour Hoffman tells Congressman Wilson, played by Hanks, a story about a Zen master and a boy. On the boy's 14th birthday, he gets a horse, and everyone says, "How wonderful." The Zen master says, "We'll see." 2 years later, the boy falls off the horse, breaks his leg, and everyone says, "How terrible." The Zen master says, "We'll see." And then a war breaks out, and all the young men have to fight except the boy. Everyone in the village says, "How wonderful." The moral of the story is people are quick to judge whether something is good or bad before fully understanding the outcome. And this week was one of those moments in history, the fall of the ruthless dictator Bashar Al-Assad, who used chemical weapons on his own people. Sounds like good news, but as retired Major General Bob Dees told me this week, we'll see.
All right, we are rolling.
Okay. How do you see the fall of Syria impacting the Middle East?
Right. Well, first, Paul, many met the fall of Assad with great jubilation. I mean, after all, we had a brutal dictator, abused people, weapons of mass destruction, war crimes. Within Syria, you have ISIS. They were a narco state by all practical measures, inflicting untold damage on their neighboring states and the world. Transit point for Iran, occupational area for Russia, weapons of mass destruction. You put all that together, and I think the balance of power in the Middle East has changed, has tilted significantly, frankly, to the advantage of the U.S. and Israel. That said, there's a lot of uncertainty. It remains a dangerous neighborhood.
Well, and it is a huge power vacuum, and I suppose we're waiting to see how that exactly is going to be filled, because we've kind of seen this movie before with other countries. You mentioned Israel. Is this a turning point for Israel, good or bad?
Well, I don't know that it's a turning point, but I think it's an important point on their journey. Clearly October 7th a year ago, attacked by Hamas. They've been dealing with Hamas. And then being attacked from the north by Hezbollah, they have basically defeated Hezbollah. And so the natural outcome of this is that Syria lost some of its props. Russia, because of the war in Ukraine, hasn't been propping up Syria quite as much or keeping their eye on that ball. Iran is weakened. Hezbollah was on the Syrian flank, able to support them and lend mutual benefit. So all of those props have gone away, frankly, to the advantage of Israel. And Israel and the United States have been, frankly, bombing pretty aggressively and working it hard in the last few days because they're concerned about the resurgence of ISIS, the involvement of ISIS-like Al-Qaeda characters. And so it's messy. President Trump, he certainly defeated ISIS, a number of years ago, and so now I'm convinced that President Trump will not allow a resurgence of ISIS, but he doesn't want to be involved in the middle of a messy civil war between Sunni and Shia advocates within Syria.
Well, as you know, General, I mean, war sometimes makes strange bedfellows. Sometimes you have to do business with your enemies in order to achieve your goal or your mission. Could this power vacuum in Syria become a problem or a challenge for the incoming Trump administration? The leader of the rebels that overthrew and ousted Bashar Al-Assad is a former member of Al-Qaeda. He says he's no longer, has anything to do with that, but you have to wonder, what kind of people are we going to be dealing with?
Yeah, well, certainly that's the big question mark. You say, will it be a problem for the Trump administration? It is a problem for the Biden administration. It will continue to be a problem, a place of volatility and uncertainty for the Trump administration. I do think, however, that the Trump administration is far more suited to deal with this problem because they recognize the importance of deterrence, the importance of peace through strength. And some of these actions, some of this attitude on the world stage will serve us well. We've had an uncertain trumpet in the Middle East and beyond for the last few years, and that just invites adventurism. So I think we're in a better place despite the uncertainty that will continue.
Well, on that note, when you look at the Middle East at large, the entire region, and all the moving pieces that we've seen in play over the last couple of years from Israel, Syria, Iran, Lebanon, are you more optimistic heading into 2025 or cautiously optimistic?
Yeah, well, I would think I'm more optimistic. Back again in the Trump administration, towards the end of that, they had the Abraham Accords, which was an indication that the moderate Arab nations within the entire Middle East structure that you described were inclined to work together, inclined to peaceably coexist with Israel, and that was a great initiative. That was immediately eliminated by the Biden administration, and so I think we're going to get back on that wavelength with the Gulf Cooperation Council, the GCC states, and others in the region that will be supportive of a more moderate approach, and will also assist in keeping Syria, whatever results there, under better wraps than they have.
Major General Bob Dees, thank you for your insight and your time, sir. Appreciate it. Next on Full Circle Florida, our final thoughts.